Welcome to Ask the Accountant, the podcast that is made for you. Weekly podcast live Mondays from 8:30 a.m., released on the podcast service of your choice on Wednesdays. Your main weekly hosts, Aaron, Patrick, and Johann. Got something to ask? Submit your questions below or ask during the show. Podcast loading. We are currently getting everything set up behind the scenes, so sit back, relax, and we will be with you in a few seconds. Enjoy.
Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to Ask the Accountant episode number 48. The date is the 18th of September 2023, and as always, we've got a little bit of a cracker lined up for you. And we are, again, humbled and proudly sponsored by the wonders over at Employment Hero, but more about them later. Now, as you'll probably see if you are watching live then or watching back on demand, you'll notice I'm in a different environment to normal. So I'm on the road, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But Johann, how's it going over there? I mean, how's the weather doing in the wonderful north of the UK?
Good morning. Well, first of all, let's do a weather check, as you request, Aaron. Oh, I've not turned my camera on.
What's going on here? There we are.
It looks really bright out there, but I can assure you it is pissing down. Winter has arrived north of the wall, people. Prepare your central heatings, get your raincoats out. It's coming for you. It is extremely wet and cold here. I had to put the heating on yesterday. I'm not happy.
Anyone would think that we've been preparing ourselves for our new Ask the Accountant coats that we've had gracefully made for us. So
whether this hits Manchester in time, I don't know, but it's definitely here.
Let's hope so. And speaking of Manchester, that's kind of what the theme of today is going to all about. We're basically going to recap last week and look forward to this week, because this week is an absolute stonker in terms of content for you guys and content for anyone there. And this is our final plea, actually, for you all to get yourself a ticket over for Accountex North. But we'll talk about that in due course. First of all, as always, this show is and forever will be thankful to each and every one of you who contributes, either watches, looks, comments, talks, shares, passes, whatever it is you do. You're all doing a fantastic job, and we've got people in there this morning. Kirsty's there. Good morning to you, Kirsty. Hopefully you are having a great start to the day. We've got Dave here as well. Good morning. We've got Merlin here. Good morning. We've got Natasha. Good morning, Natasha. Paul's here as well. Good morning to Paul and Nick. Looking forward to seeing you both at Accountex tomorrow, and that is exactly what we're looking forward to as well, Nick. We can't wait to see yourself and everyone else at Accountex. But before we move on to Accountex, let's have a recap of what we did last week. It was a bit of a busy one, wasn't it, Jan?
It was, wasn't it? It was blooming good, though. What a way to start 9 weeks of travel and hard work ahead for us both. So last week we had a trip to London, went to the Big Smoke, and we had a visit to QuickBooks HQ, so we'll go into detail about that in a moment. And then following that, we did 3 fantastic interviews for Ask the Accountant. We've got cool friends. So they're all now with producer Lizzie being edited and produced for the coming week's releases.
Well, we hope they're getting to Lizzie. A little peep behind the curtain. They're still uploading. So and my internet's pretty fast. I think I'll log back into my laptop later, but yeah, last time I checked, we were still uploading those. So
the amount of data we capture though is phenomenal, because to give everyone a bit of an idea, we ran a 4-camera setup last week, and those cameras are all catching 4K high quality video footage, and then we have 2 or 3 different backups of audio on top of that.
Yeah, and the audio itself, that's another one.
Yeah. One camera captures about 65 gigabytes worth of visual data per interview. So we did 3 interviews. We had 4 cameras.
Yep.
It soon adds up. But
Yep.
basically, yeah, when everyone says, "Oh, I've got 100 megabytes a second," it's like that's great, but there's a lot of 100 megabytes in 64 gigabytes.
Yeah, poor producer Lizzie's PC might be, or Matt might be a little bit struggling today. So let's talk about what we did. Well, first of all, last week, which was the Accounting Council, wasn't it? So QuickBooks themselves, as you already said, invited us down there. It was they've all been nominated now, aren't they? We're all official now, the Accounting Council itself. So
yeah, there's a nice little picture out there with headshots of us all 20 of us, I want to say.
So rings a bell, doesn't it? So definitely have a look at some of our socials and look back, and you'll be able to see who's on the council and who isn't. But a really good, diverse group of us, from we said before, it's from big to small. And some of the updates we had were pretty impressive, weren't they? In fact, shall I go through a couple of them? There was that, UK. And I couldn't believe as well, my favorite bit about it all was when they said, to me, when you've got announcements like that, absolutely brilliant, aren't they? So yeah, no, all jokes aside, it was I'm looking at the roadmap now. Like, there was some really, really impressive elements there that I think personally are going to give us an opportunity to really use QuickBooks more than we have done before. They've it's proven that they're starting to go into a bit of a different direction, and there's at least taking on feedback going forward. What did you think, Johann?
I think it was a great session. I think there was a lot of the bit I really like about these sessions is the constructive feedback that goes in. Every now and then there is an unconstructive bit of comment feedback, which I get it. We're all passionate about these things, but any feedback you give, you can't just say that's shit. You need to go, that's shit. This is why, and this is what you do to solve that. So it has to be constructive. Maybe not everyone in the Accounting Council is quite there with that constructive side yet, but I think overall they were very willing to listen, open to suggestions. So yeah, and as you say, the features that they're looking at launching and stuff, especially for those people that are starting up now or soon and into the future, it gives them a really good platform for one ecosystem, which perhaps they've not had so far.
Yeah, we've always said, haven't we, that we've been sat here very jealous of Sage and that Sage ecosystem, and the fact that there was that opportunity. If you were going to set up in business now, we said it on our very first We Have Cool Friends, haven't we, with Chris? Like, you'd be silly not to consider Sage because they have that ecosystem built, ready. Some of it is not as good as others, but it's there, right? And I just feel like QuickBooks is starting to really push that hammer home of, wait a minute, whoa, we have an ecosystem too. Yeah. If anything, they've got more features in their overall ecosystem, because when you buy something like MailChimp already, like that was a X billion pound acquisition for a reason, right? There's a lot of moving parts to that. Some of the moving parts are better than others, but there is a lot of moving parts there. And I think that was really shown when they were talking about how going forward they really want to build on that ecosystem, how they want that ecosystem. And then when they introduced the AI element of it, which we talked about last week, like, that's going to be super powerful. The fact that AI in theory can just float around that whole ecosystem at will, taking the data at will that it needs, that's when AI starts to become really powerful, isn't it? I think one of my favorite takeaways from that as well was it was more of a thought processing kind of session. And it was one of their kind of lead designers, UI designers there talking about how, like, the analogy of a tools, and how if you look after your tools then great things can happen, sort of thing. And he talked about how his dad, or granddad, I think it was looking after his tools. Yeah. And there was all the analogies of, like, his tools were always pristine each and every time. And that basically meant that he could always work on whatever project he did. I think he talked about how they built their family home using those tools, sort of things. And that whole analogy, well, QuickBooks is that tool. And now it's not just QuickBooks, it's Intuit is those tools, right? into it, the ecosystem, as the tools. And it's going to be a fantastic ecosystem when it's all fleshed out. That's, obviously the point of us being there is to get the feedback, and there is still lots of work to be done, and lots of priorities need to be put into certain places. But we were quite humbled by the fact that even from last time, they've already got this progress tracker of what we said and how that's going. So that's got to give you confidence that they're listening and everything else. And it's refreshing, isn't it? I know you guys at Client Engager pride yourself by it's about the community and what the community wants and everything else, but that's very rare. That's not a normal thing at all. So to see someone as big as QuickBooks go, you know what? Yes, they're only a minority, but they're a vocal minority with the county council. Let's listen to what their pain points are and issues, because most of our pain points of issues are brought from the community itself, right? Like, especially from my point of view, most of my issues I bring up are because that's what I'm constantly getting on my YouTube videos or Facebook posts or whatever it's going to be. And it's, it's just a good way of being able to push that feedback forward.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was a really good session. And as you say, the fact that they are documenting and showing us all the feedback we gave last time, even comments, like throwaway comments that I don't think we would have ever expected them to have documented, they've managed to document. So it can only go well as long as they follow it and execute it. And as you say, like Client Engager, we pride ourselves on community feedback and actioning it as quickly as possible. Will the big boys ever be able to move as quickly as Client Engager does? No, not at all. But I do feel like the big boys are starting to take notice of how the smaller operators work and learn from it and try and implement it themselves. And we've seen the same in accounting and bookkeeping world, where smaller firms and one-person setups are more dynamic and responsive to new tech, etc. And then the bigger firms try to go see it and go, right, we need to keep up with this. So it sets the standard. Whereas I think in a lot of the world, you look at the big boys and go, right, that's the standard we've got to meet.
Yeah.
Whereas actually in the accounting and bookkeeping world and software side of that, I think they look at us and go, cool, that's the standard the smaller businesses are delivering. We bigger businesses need to meet that.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. In the afternoon, thanks to certain someone being very heavily invested in a practice management solution. Some of us were banned from the practice management solution session. I don't know how I got roped into that as well, but that's fair enough. I am on their beta, so it's fine. I'm happy to take one for the team. But I thought it felt like they almost had to put on a separate session for us. I think they were going to do it anyway, but it just made sense as being there. But it was a really interesting peek behind the curtain of how campaigns are created, right? Social media campaigns and I think this is actual proper media campaign, right? This is for television and for all sorts of things go on. And they just gave us this opportunity to sit down with their creative partner about what their ideas were going to be for the next television spot, and what their ideas for the next campaign's going to be and everything else. Now, obviously, we can't talk about the actual details of it, but it was really interesting of how that concept, come on, we spoke about it on this channel enough about that whole chicken video and everything else. And prior to that, there was even worse, these ideas. And where that 30-second campaign, or even shorter, isn't it? Whatever the time frame is going to be, we rip it apart on this very channel, or we praise it, whichever way it's going to be. But actually, the amount of work involved to get to that point is absolutely insane. I don't think anyone really appreciates that. But just this, one little peek, an hour and a half session or however long it was so eye-opening into what actually goes on into creating that sort of content, right?
But I also think they realized from that session that they need to bring accountants in as a consulting side of things at that stage in future, because they walked away with so much valuable insight of, you can't say that, you can't word it like that, we gave really constructive feedback that should solve a lot of the headaches going forwards.
Yeah. Because
So,
like they
yeah.
admitted themselves, the creative people themselves are not accountants, so it's alien to them. They're just kind of being, and actually, you know, the people who put the blood, sweat, and tears at the developers and the product owners and everything else, sometimes they get a little bit, what's the phrase? Is it product blind? Maybe that,
Tunnel visioned.
yeah, that's it, tunnel vision, exactly. And they're like, oh, we've built this fantastic feature that does X, Y, Z, and everyone's going to love this and everyone's going to do that. And we're like, oh, yeah, that feature's cool, but that's not the talking point. This is the talking point. This is what you should be talking about, because in real life, that's what makes a crucial difference to us. And I feel like that was really impactful. I mean, I'm sure we're allowed to say the bit that's the fact that they're actually looking to target accountants again as well, which is amazing. Like that,
there's been some real spend behind advertising to accountants and bookkeepers again.
Yeah, which you know has been a long time coming, but it's really important, and it just gives us confidence that, you know, going forward. Again, it's that they can say on stage as many times they want. They can put a press release out as many times as they want that, you know, the accountants are back as partners, and you know they're going to be heard more, and etc. 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 But actually, the fact that they're putting spend behind the accounting council, they're putting spend behind these adverts and stuff, and they're putting spend behind accountant-only features. That's how they really prove it, right? That's the.
I think we need to do a big hats off to Karen Malone, who organises all of these accounting council events. She does such a fantastic job.
Definitely.
But also, there's the a distinctive change in culture and attitude at QuickBooks towards accountants and bookkeepers at the moment, from the marketing department. And I think that's really obviously come from their new head of marketing. They've got a new marketing director called Marcus. I believe he's come from Google. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's correct.
Really, really nice guy. Absolutely down to earth, chats to anyone about anything. But you can see what the fresh set of eyes has brought in is a better perspective in our favor. That is going to result in a more balanced approach to marketing from targeting SMBs and accountants and bookkeepers. So yeah, Marcus, I think, is a pivotal part of that change of direction from their marketing team. And I met him for the first time back in May, I think. Was that right? At Accountex?
It was Accountex, South, yeah.
And as I do with everyone that joins QuickBooks, like, don't get me wrong, the leadership and the culture and stuff and the employees at QuickBooks are phenomenally great. They're incredible people. But I always go, yeah, we'll see. Like, just because they've got this huge burden of a huge company and the bureaucracy that goes with big companies to deal with, as to whether they can actually deliver their dreams and ambitions. Yeah. But he seems to be doing it. Like, in a very short period of time, he seems to have turned the ship and started doing some great stuff, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's refreshing, isn't it? And you know, we've said it a million times, and people will always say, you know, who better to sell QuickBooks than the people using it, like accountants themselves? Like, the reason we're so, you know, pushing for our clients to be on something like QuickBooks or whatever cloud accounting software you're going to choose is because ultimately it means that we can serve our clients better. Like, we want them on that platform so that we can then get that real-time information, so that we can then make actual decisions for them that can make a difference. And you know, the fact that they're starting to again see that properly and go back to the basics of looking at that is really important. And again, the fact that it's coming from the top really does showcase that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant event. Again, I wish we could tell you all of the little secrets.
Don't make me get the censor button out again.
I know. But it was good. You know, having a look at the AI and what the future of AI can do, giving opportunity to feedback on some of the solutions that are already there. You know, and basically explaining that they've got a huge opportunity at this point in time. Why not grasp it? You know, and I think hearing that from us is important for them to go, right, actually, yeah, let's figure out what we can do with it. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Let's see if we've got any comments coming through. Kirsty says, how do you send? I've heard of WeTransfer. Yeah, so I've got to find another solution. Actually, I've been using Google Drive since forever. So Google Drive, it comes with your G Suite if you ever jump on G Suite, and the beauty of it is that it was an unlimited tier. So I think there's something like,
it used to be.
Yeah, there's something like 8. I think, what was our last on? I was on, I'm on 80 terabytes worth of data up there at the moment, completely free of charge. And yeah, the problem is that going forward, that's going to be taken away. So yeah, keep an eye on news really from my end in terms of what I'm moving to, because I have no idea. If anyone's got any suggestions of where to put all this data, that would be amazing.
I was thinking about this weekend because I've got G Suite, but I've not got the package you've got because it doesn't exist anymore.
Technically, you do through ASICant, but yeah, we can talk about that. Right, but yeah.
But I was thinking we might need to set up some kind of network SSD hard drive system that you, me, and Lizzie can get into, and remote access and stuff, and just keep plugging in new terabytes of data every time. But I mean, I've got my little SanDisk thing that I take with me everywhere. Normally, I didn't take it last week, but that's 1 terabyte. That'll do me fine. But you need 800 of these to make that work.
Yeah, ultimately, we need one that is locally backed up on all 3 of our locations, and then just goes back and forth. Yeah, there's solutions out there. It's just finding the right one, isn't it? And if anyone out there has any experience in large networking infrastructures, then please do get in touch. And I forget who Ashley speaks to all the time about his technology side, but it might be worth Ashley Leeds, his contact. It might be worth having a chat with them. Probably around Accountex. That might be a good time to do, I know, which is
a good time to have a chat with him.
Yeah. Before we segue to that, Paul says, happy to give loads of feedback. We just need to see first. Definitely, Paul, keep going, keep talking to people like Karen and stuff. That's the best place. Sometimes smaller business bringing the new insight for the bigger firms miss too. Yeah, we've definitely seen that with the group that we've got. It's really, really important to kind of see, like, the bigger firms, they don't care about CIS integration, really. They've already got solutions and stuff out there. But, when we're talking about new products that might be launched or new SKUs and stuff, the idea of us going, or one of the smaller firms going, you're definitely going to consider CIS, right? As an example, it's huge feedback, because that's the bit where they go, actually, for this, whatever product or whatever SKU they're looking to do in the future, they need that feedback to be able to make sure it's right. So yeah. That's why Client Engage is such a good product. The developer is also a user. He certainly is. Yeah, he wouldn't be where he is without Client Engages. So yeah, that's why he's always pushing it in. And both of you, right? Like, at the end of the day, Andy built it because nothing else was out there in the market for him. So I had to go and build it.
Yeah, Andy's definitely the visionary. He's got this huge objective, and then Peter and I are kind of tasked with breaking that down and working out how you get there and how to make that realistic and a reality. I mean, we move at a pace. We move at a hell of a pace, considering compared to anyone else in the software market, really. But even that pace is a bit too slow for Andy.
I know, like, there's a big one is Sam, isn't it, with the humanize the numbers and everything. For you, it's Andy eyes the numbers, or Andy eyes the vision. That's what you're trying to.
We've got Andy eyes the vision, and we've also got the Andy proofing of the system.
That's it. Yeah. It's
anything we do new. We've got to get Andy to use it. If he can use it, anyone can use it.
Yeah. Andy got such a fast start. Exactly right. And SharePoint OneDrive. Yeah, I have SharePoint OneDrive. Just the fees are astronomical. Yeah, for the sort of data we're looking at, it's extra, and they throttle you as well as soon as you get over a certain amount, which isn't ideal, because that's what it's there for. Right then, so in fact, just before we go into our next bit, let's just make sure we get our sponsors out and sorted. So this is where it gets exciting for us. So Employment Hero obviously sponsoring this, the show have been sponsoring for a while now, but we have got some really exciting things planned for Accountex regarding Employment Hero. So, keep an eye on your socials. If you're there, come and say hi. Come and say, come and bring along. We should have some exclusive swag for them to pass around. We've got some exclusive swag to pass around as well, which also includes Employment Hero. But yeah, we're really excited to work with them. It's kind of makes it a little bit more fun than just your standard. Again, we've said this many times, but we had other opportunities to do sponsor segments, but the reason we chose these guys is because they wanted us to have fun with it, and I feel like that's what we've been able to do. So let's roll one of the ads, and then we can have a little talk about it afterwards.
Ask the Accountant brings to you Employment Hero. Looking to hire remotely? Introducing Employer of Record by Employment Hero, your key to seamless global hiring. Global Teams is a best-in-class global employer of record service. Whether you're expanding into new markets or struggling to fill open roles, Global Teams connects the best talent with the best employers, all done legally and ethically. With Global Teams, you can effortlessly navigate the complexities of hiring globally while ensuring compliance and peace of mind. Say goodbye to the headaches of international hiring and hello to a trusted partner that simplifies the process. Visit employmenthero.com to learn more about their employer of record service and revolutionize your global hiring today.
And keep an eye out for those capes as well, because if all goes to plan, those capes were quite important. But yeah, thank you, Employment Hero. As always, it's going to be an amazing account X, which we're about to talk about in a minute. And we're really looking forward to partnering with you over there. So brilliant.
Yeah. I'm going to just delve in on the Employment Hero bit of a live case study for you, bit of
Go for it. Go on.
real life scenario, as it were.
Hopefully, this is real life stories. You actually making your sponsor segment.
That's tomorrow.
Okay.
All over it. All over it. It's all up here. If anyone sees a film crew and like extras and caravans and stuff pulled up, that's my advert being filmed. Obviously, I'm out of the office at the moment quite a lot over the next 9 weeks. But last week alone, so we pay for the premium Employment Hero package for my firm. So we've got all the bells and whistles. Last week, get a notification. One of my managers, Jade, has done a welfare check on one of our team members because she was having a bit of a rough time. All documented, all uploaded to the client record. I've been notified of the upload. Absolutely fantastic. Then I go into Employment Hero and someone's commended someone for doing some work. It's like brilliant. So they've got like a kind of a round of applause type feature where you can recommend someone for commendation for something they've done that's in line with your company values. So you tell Employment Hero what your company values are, and someone can go in and go, this person just absolutely exemplified that value today. I'm going to tell the team about it. That gets submitted to the management team. We get a notification. If we like that, we say, yep, share that with the team. And it goes against that person's record for future reviews, etc. So yeah, and that was all happening without me in the office. I'm the one that wears the HR hat normally, and that's all happening without me being in the office. It was fantastic.
Love it. And I know they're not live yet, but at some point we'll even have the opportunity to give those swag points out as well. So you don't just need to do a virtual clap, but they'll have the opportunity to pass over on-point accounting points, whatever you want to call them, right?
Yep, which they can then trade in for whatever they want.
Real life stuff, yeah. And as owners, we know, that's an extra cost to us, but that's such an invaluable cost, right? Like we're putting it we're investing in something that then our team can decide what it gets spent on or who it gets spent on. And loving it.
I send out boxes of chocolate brownies from one of my clients to my team every now and then. Like, it doesn't cost me that much in the grand scheme of things, but the value the team get and the reminder they're valued themselves as a thank you for a tough time or something is phenomenal. So anything like swag points and stuff is going to just add to the benefits there.
Yeah, can't wait for it to go live in the product. Andy says he's basically saying, I don't do anything. He's a visionary. Well, Steve Jobs did quite a bit, didn't he? And he was That may be the first and last time I compare Andy to Steve, but it's Steve Jobs, but it's fine. You've got it here now, Andy. You can clip it.
Yeah, Andy is, whilst he might not be doing the support calls and the demos and the answering questions on the Facebook group, Peter and I wouldn't have any direction without Andy. Like, Andy needs to have that visionary role. Otherwise, when Andy messages me about some daft idea, like, I wouldn't have had that idea. But then I've just spent a couple of hours on Sunday watching the F1 race, scribbling out on my iPad loads of thoughts and notes on this brand new feature, and tying in loads of feature upgrades to other parts of current features to release later in the year, hopefully. I need to have a meeting with Peter to see what's actually possible.
Yeah.
But none of that happens without someone like Andy at the top going, I had a brainstorm. And then I go, can I? Normally I go, that's a daft idea, Andy. Go back to brainstorming. But then about a week later, it'll go, actually, Andy's got a point. So you end up developing it.
And then straight into our next topic, attending my first Accountex tomorrow, says Natasha. So, Natasha, what an event to pick, eh? Accountex North. Tomorrow, there's still time. You've got 14 hours, 50. That can't be right. 14 hours? Doors open in 14 hours? Can that be right? I mean, that's what it says on the website. You might. I'm not sure what doors are open, but
have they put
they're open in 14 hours?
No, they must. Even that doesn't. I'm just trying to think. When do we get in as exhibitors tonight? That's at 6 o'clock tonight. We can go in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not even right for us, is it? So, no. If you really want to be eager, they, according to the website, they're open in 0 days, 14 hours, 57 minutes, and 45 seconds. We're not 100% sure that's correct, but let's say 24 hours from now.
Yeah. Put it this way, Aaron, if we've turned up tonight without all the stuff to set up for the podcasting studio as exhibitors, and there's people camped out with little tents and stuff, that's when you know you're at a big event.
Yeah. So maybe, Natasha, if you want to get there for the 14 hours, 57 minutes, 18 seconds, I promise you, we'll come and pass you a cup of tea or something on the way, because we're there. But ultimately, it's open tomorrow. 19th September, there's 100+ accountancy and finance suppliers in the building itself. They'll be talking about AI recruitment, staff retention, automation, and it's all with 8 CPT points just for attending. But it's going to be a big one, right? We loved last one. One thing I think is Accountex, the main Accountex, is a proper wow event, isn't it? Like the wow factor.
Sensory overload.
Yeah. Which is great because you get to feel like you're involved in this huge Goliath of an event. But the problem is it also suffers from its own benefit, success, because as an attendee, you just get lost. You could be wandering around there, you could have an agenda. Even though it's over 2 days, you could struggle to go speak to all the people you want to speak to or see all the events you want to. This event here is much more intimate, much more opportunity to go and have those conversations. And I'll always remember from the last Accountex North, I actually had an opportunity to go and talk to a member of QuickBooks I haven't spoken to in a long, long time. And we get to go to see QuickBooks all the time, right? And actually had a meaningful conversation, and actually, progress was made because of it. And I feel like that's what Accountex Manchester is. It's that more of an intimate setting, which actually really benefits for it, because it means that you get to have a lot more of an opportunity. And I'll always remember you bringing along one of your members of the team for the first.
He's there again tomorrow.
Yeah, and the amount of stuff that he got out of that one day, doing things that, if we think back to when we first went to conferences, that's exactly what we'd have done, right? Actually sitting down to the events and talking to vendors that you've probably never heard of before, and all of that. So yeah, it's one of those ones where it's a must in the calendar for us. Well, we have to anyway for our commitments, but regardless of those commitments, it's a must, isn't it, to get ourselves up to Manchester. So yeah,
Natasha's
we'll
just got a really good thing in before we go any deeper into it.
Let's throw this straight to you. What are your top tips for first-time visitor? And go for it.
So I always think it's really interesting that everyone says, plan your day. Look at all the speakers scheduling. Natasha, I know you run one of the biggest Facebook groups for the accounting and bookkeeping industry in the UK, right? I don't think you'd be able to plan your day and attend everything in your plan, because you're going to get stopped. You're going to be like, you and I, Aaron, have this problem. It's not a problem at all. It's an absolute pleasure and a benefit, but we can't get anything done on a time schedule because everyone stops and says, hello, how are you? Love this, love that, blah, blah, blah. There's networking, there's meeting peers, and there's, like, oh, Natasha, you're Natasha, aren't you? Blah, 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 shake hands, blah, blah, blah. So you need to either be really firm with yourself and people around you saying, look, I'm really sorry, I need to go. Set yourself alarms like 5 minutes before each speaking session you want to go, so that when it goes off, you can go, I'm really sorry, I've got to get to this session that I want to get to. Otherwise, it looks a bit rude. Whereas having an alarm prompting you to be able to say to someone to break a conversation, it works better.
Yeah.
So don't get too fixated on trying to get to all the different sessions, because I always take the day as it comes. Top tips: comfortable shoes. You're going to be walking around a lot. A water bottle. There's loads of water refilling stations, so make sure you take your water bottle to refill. And there's no guarantee that everyone's got water bottles as swag. And there's also no guarantee that those water bottles will still be in stock when you get to those stands. So take your own water bottle.
Like Digital Accounting Show this year, wasn't it? It was, gold dust for water bottles that year.
Look, you don't want to be stuck with a water bottle that's not in a brand that you support. So like, I take my QuickBooks water bottle, but other people might want a zero water bottle or something.
It's going to be a dark day when I have to drink out of a zero one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But then also, because we're speaking a lot, I'll take this water bottle because I really like the whatever that bit's called at the top, the nozzle that I drink from. That's more comfortable for me to drink out of. If you are brand loyal and you've got a lanyard that is of the brand you follow, take it with you. Otherwise, you might get lumbered with a lanyard from the tickets of a brand you don't particularly endorse or support. So I always take my QuickBooks lanyards with me so that I don't end up with a Xero or a Sage or whatever other brand has sniped up that sponsorship slot. Just go with the flow of the day. Meet people, enjoy the networking, etc. If you're starting to get overwhelmed with noise, etc., just step outside. There's foyers everywhere. There's a nice big outdoor area at the front. Just step outside, take 5 minutes and go back in. The main thing is not to waste the day by doing nothing about it. So when you leave, even if you're a one-person business, set time aside to debrief yourself. So, on the Wednesday, I'm traveling back here by train for 3.5 hours. That's the time I will debrief myself. And then because I've got a team, I'll then debrief my team later that day or on the Thursday or something. So we can actually document the learning points and action them. Because far too many people go to these events, listen to speakers and stuff, take no notes, no action points, speak to all the software providers, take no notes, no action points, go away from it. And then this time next year, they go, oh, I'm not going to that again. That was a waste of time. Didn't get anything from it. It's like, well, were you paying attention? Did you action anything you thought of at the day? If you think, oh, that's a really good point, write it down and debrief yourself at the end.
But do something with that, right? Because the amount of people I know as well who have reams of notes from these events.
Yep.
But they're just still reams of notes, even today, a year on from last time. Like you said, that debrief option, going through, just put them into an actionable list afterwards. I I challenge myself after every one of these events to walk away with 5 action points I'm gonna implement, and that's my I keep myself accountable for that.
If you've got a team, get them to hold you to account. So when I go to these events, my team in the next team meeting will go, right, Johann, you spent a day at that event. What did we get from it as a business?
Yeah,
what have we learned? What do we need to look at? Or were you just on the jollies again, Johann? So I have to come away with stuff to prove that it was worth the investment of my time to go. George is going tomorrow. He's going to have to come away with points and actions and learning outcomes. So it's justifying his attendance. Now, I would never tell my team they can't go to these events. I always welcome them to any event because I know how valuable they are. But they go briefed with what I've just briefed everyone on this podcast with: of go, learn, take notes. Don't assume you'll remember everything, because there will be overwhelm of information. So write things down, even if it's just on your mobile. Just make it. I'm just going to make a note of that. Look into X, Y, Z software, etc., and then follow it up the next day or the next week.
Exactly right. And again, just make sure it's actionable. Like, the amount of times we've seen people who have these amazing, like, come away absolutely buzzing from the events, but then work gets in the way and problems get in the way and life gets in the way, and it never gets actionable. So we can't harbor the point that walk away with the opportunity to make sure it's actionable. What else we got in here? So Ariana's joined us. Good morning, Ariana. We'll stick you down as a late arrival, but don't worry, you're still here, so you still get the mark of the attendance book. Don't worry. Nat's got support from the ICB Lincolnshire branch members Claire Kendall and Laura Murphy, plus others. So yep, she's going to be well attended. So there'll be a little group of them walking around. So if you do see Natasha, make sure you say hi, and to the rest of them as well. And Nick says great tips as well. And the question that's come through as well, we'll cover that at the end. But yeah, great tips there, Johanna. As I've said, like that, and that's what it's about, right? Any of these events, you need to make sure that you do everything. Yes, better late than never, Ariana. But yeah, you've got to make sure that you're attaching. But the event itself, there are some amazing speakers already lined up. If you want to kind of learn more about the speakers and what to look forward to, I'd highly recommend a little thing called the Grid Walk that we'll be very excited to do, aren't we, Johan, this time around?
Always.
Yeah, it's one of our highlights of any event, isn't it now?
Yeah. Did you see Martin Brundle want to correct someone yesterday? So he was told he does a pit walk. It's like, no, I do a grid walk. It's like, yeah, you do.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, ours is inspired by Martin Brundle, but I would say it's a little bit more like Ted's Notebook at the end. But they're all the same, really, aren't they? And there's good speaking points. There's some great exhibitors there. A new exhibitor I see on the list here. What's this? Ask the Accountant. Have you ever heard of them, Jan? Have you ever heard of those guys? But yeah, it's going to be an amazing event in terms of, for us, our first ever, booth event or exhibitor event. We're so excited. We've had to rein in some of those visionary ideas, as Johan was talking about then. We had a few more things maybe planned that actually wasn't going
would have required a team of 50 to deliver.
Yeah, exactly. But what we have got, we're so excited about. We're going to be having podcasts all the way through the day, so please feel free. As Johan said there, if you're looking for a place to just sit down and chill and relax, we're going to make sure there's some sofas there. Might even be able to get you a coffee one if you come at the right time. You never know. You never know who's going around. But yeah, bring yourself coffee, get yourself sat down, listen to some amazing speakers that we're going to have lined up. And even yourself, like, talk to us. Like, we want to listen to you guys. We want to listen to what you've learned from today. Tell us what your best thing you've learned about this from this session is. Tell us what your actionable points are. Yeah. Keep yourself accounted for. If you go on a podcast and tell people that these are your points you're going to action, then that's one way to keep yourself accountable, right? So we want to listen to you. We want to hear from you. We want you to listen to the guys we've got there. And we've got some exclusive swag available as well. So really excited for the Top Trumps idea that we've got. They look absolutely sensational. Producer Lizzie's done a good job, hasn't she?
She's done a phenomenal job, yeah. I can't ever say I thought I'd ever be at the point of fame where I'd have a top trump card based on me, but or socks with my name on, with my face on it. So happy days. But yeah, just to kind of clarify, I think so. We will have a booth. There will be a seating area for people to come and chill out. And anyone that wants to have a 30-minute interview with us, you'll be able to book in. Have we got the link available yet, Aaron?
Not yet. That was down to me, but yeah, it will be available very soon. So
we'll be putting the link out soon. But if you come up to the booth, we can book you in at the time for you to come back, or you can, if we're not busy, we can do it there and then. Basically, we're just going to have a script almost of questions that we're going to ask every single person we speak to. And it's all about how the event's going, why have you come, what have you learned so far, what are you looking forward to, depending on the time of day. And yeah, it just gives everyone an opportunity to get that, to find what it's like to be interviewed on a podcast. Because not many people in the world get an opportunity to be interviewed for a podcast. So we're really keen to get that out there. These interviews will be filmed on camera, and we will be publishing them on, they'll be edited and published on all of our social channels, and released as podcasts. So, promote it, share it in your social networks, etc. And then, yeah, we will produce all of that information. So yeah, come along and get interviewed. There's absolutely no costs. We're not charging anyone for this privilege. We're just there to give you guys an experience of being interviewed for a podcast that not many people get, if I'm honest. And when you then do get it, you get all nervous and, oh my God, what do I say and stuff. I think we just want to show you that you can come along to these things and do a great podcast episode ad hocly without any planning and effort put in, because that's what we try and do with all of our guests. Aaron and I don't spend hours coming up with questions or anything. It is all, the only thing we'll always say is, hello, how are you? After that, after that introduction of the guest, we kind of go with the guests, what the guest is saying and how we work. So yeah, feel free to get yourselves booked in or turn up and book in on the day for a podcast interview. It's the same as going up and getting your headshot done. You're going to come away with something you can use and promote and have it. We might even throw in like a question of, why are you doing what you do in your practice? And then that can be used on your website and on your social medias and stuff. Actually, that's a really good idea, Aaron. Let's change the question now. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic way to get a new social asset for your business free of charge. So please do come over and book in. Obviously, we can only fit so many half-an-hour interviews into one day, so it will be first come, first served. But if you don't make it on, if you feel like listening in, you're more than welcome. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic day. And if you do want a LinkedIn headshot, go over to Employment Hero, because they're doing LinkedIn headshots.
They are, yeah.
And so they're doing LinkedIn headshots. I mean, Employment Hero have got a lot going on. They've got a spin the wheel thing. For every name they scan on the day, they're going to plant a tree, something like that. So yeah, the Employment Hero have got loads going on. Aaron and I will be over there capturing some of that content for ourselves. But yeah, I just think if someone turned around to me and gave me the opportunity to have a half-an-hour podcast video of me talking about different things free of charge for my social medias when I was starting up or growing my business, I'd have been all over it. So I'm hoping people see the value and they'll turn up.
Yeah. And again, can't stress this enough, as a reward, you get an exclusive bit of swag as well. So top trump, there is 20 to collect, is there? You can't get all 20 on the day, but there is 20 out there. So, and I tell you what,
soon.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I would definitely recommend, as soon as you've got your card, if it's someone in that place, go get them to sign it. You never know how much it's going to be worth one day.
Are you telling me I'm about to do autographs?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Sam Mitchum's got one. We've got all sorts of people out there. So Steve from Employment Hero, they'll be over the moon if you walk up to him with a with Top Trump asking to sign it. So yeah, I highly recommend people getting involved with them and pushing to get them there. Kirsty says she's got someone out there who is going to get them some socks. So gonna have to be early.
Oh no,
early
you've got to be there in person to get the swag.
Well, we don't know who we're passing the swag to, right? But if that person's going to have to be there. Jodie's there saying 100% agree. The hardest part to find the time for the event to act on what's learnt, Matt, and so important. Couldn't agree more there, Jolie. Penelope says, "I'll do my best." Also, there we are. We'll keep an eye out for you, Penelope. And Ariana loves the Top Trump idea. Yeah. It's we're loving it. Yeah, we love the concept, and yeah, we're hoping this is first of many that we're going to put through. So that's Accountex. It is 24 hours to go, or according to the website. Let's go back to see if it's updated since.
I think the website's about 14 hours short.
14 hours, 39 minutes, and 8 seconds to go. So yeah.
I think the website's about 10 hours short because I think the doors open at 10.
Yeah, is it stuck on Australia time for Australia? That wouldn't even make sense, right?
No.
I can't. I'm trying to find a reason for it, but I can't. Yeah, but that's all good. It's all good. Right, that's Accountex North. So, what else should we go through covering now? Then, so. Just a quick update on KPM. KPM has had some updates. That's one of the cool friends we had over the weekend. They've released some new features. I quite like these new features. So they've jumped down the automation automation area in terms of making sure that when you do some different tasks, you can send out automated emails and things like that. Very client engaged-esque, very accounting manager-esque, which is good to see. And then one of the nicest updates they've got in a long, long time is the ability that when you go in to generate a report, say like accounts, for example, or corporation tax, they actually have the option now of generating a report pack. So one click, and you can download both the account and the tax return that goes with it, and the supporting document. They're saying that there's some customization options coming forward for that soon, which is great. But ultimately, it's a workflow enhancement, isn't it? Instead of having to download those extra ones and upload them automatically or upload them individually, one pack, get them uploaded, get them signed, and everyone's happy. So yeah, I'm loving that update. I think that's a nice little one from KPM there. So yeah, like to see it, love to see it, love to see the updates. We best answer that question that came through. JJ Wilkie says, right, so I've just started with QuickBooks. Great to hear. I used to use Crunch Accounting before this. They were not the best. However, I want to see the corporation tax due. Is there any way to add odds that will and show that on QuickBooks? Add-ons that will show that on QuickBooks. And then it's also said, just wanted to see what my corporation tax might be ahead of time in QuickBooks. I can't find anything on this. So I've got good news and bad news. Good news is, well, let's do the bad news first. Bad news is there is no, from a user perspective, corporation facility within QuickBooks Online. So there is no automation of this. Now, if you were sole trader, there is a sole trader tax return option. We'll give you an update on your taxes there. But with a corporation tax, my biggest hint, and I've got a video on it, or biggest way I would do it is to manually record it going forward. So what I would recommend is you do a corporation tax liability account as a cash account. So it's sat there on your dashboard, and then basically run yourself a profit and loss by month each and every month. And you want to be then adding manually the corporation tax estimate in there. Keep it at 20%, keep it nice and clean and tidy. And you've got ways, and again, there's a video on it. So if you want to look at that video in more detail, please go ahead. Unfortunately, that's not an update that we're kind of thinking that QuickBooks is going to do anytime soon regarding corporation tax. And there's not really any add-ons out there that do a grand job of it. So yeah, best thing to do is keep it manual, but keep it on the dashboard so you can keep an eye on it. Let's do a tech update for the last 6 minutes there, Johann. So we had a little event that we got ourselves all excited about, didn't we, in the last week? I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago now. So Apple announced their Wonderlust event, I want to call it. Right. I think that's what I want to call it. Yeah. And they came and they announced some new products. Not that many products. I think
it lacked wonder.
I mean, more than happy with some of the products that were announced, and we'll talk about it. But I think it was going to be remembered more for what wasn't announced more than anything else, especially when, if rumors are true, this is the last product update of the year. So those new iPads we were clamming for and everything else are not going to materialize anytime soon, which is great for the bank balance, but not so great for us tech enthusiasts out there. But what was announced of great deal was there was new Apple Watches. I'm not 100% sure that they're massively worth the upgrade, especially when the biggest upgrade was that pinch element there. You know, they were talking about, if you haven't seen it, go and have a look. But the opportunity where you can do that basically is a way of gesturing on the phone. So, you know, answer a phone call, stop a phone call, that sort of idea on your watch. The only frustration about that is that that's been around forever. That's been an accessibility feature. And
mainstream.
Yeah, they've just they've now put it behind a paywall because you can only have it on the new generation of Apple Watches, and which is slightly frustrating, but hey ho, these things happen. And then really it was just a breakdown of new bits, really, wasn't it, in terms of the phone. We've got some really nice upgrades in terms of that. The standard iPhone, if you've not upgraded your standard iPhone in a long time, if you've not been on a Pro model, for example, probably one of the best upgrades there's ever been, you know, in terms of features that have come to your new phone. You'll have the opportunity to have a much better camera than before, dynamic island, so all that's there. And then for us Pro model users, there was some nice features there. I think the ability, the big update for all of it was USB-C. I think that's one wire to rule them all, which is good to see. And then from the Pro model was the ability to have just a better workflow, really. That's what I'm excited about. Being able to get that information from that phone to the editing software much better than before, you know.
Yeah.
It was a case at the time where you could take 2 minutes to record something, 10 minutes to edit it, and half an hour to download it. It was like, you know what I mean? Like it was always, if you look at your pie chart, it was actually the actual transferring was always one of the biggest parts, which was ludicrous. So the fact that just, you know, something as simple as putting USB-C in will solve that. And one of my favorite updates was the fact that coming soon with the ability to do that spatial video, you know. So it justifies us buying that Vision a thing, right? That's how.
Just so we can watch our own videos that no one else can watch because they haven't got a Vision Pro. Right. It's going to be interesting to see what we can create content-wise using the spatial video. Definitely. So we'll see what happens.
So we're thinking Accountex North next year will just be in 3D, right? That's how it works.
Yeah. Everyone can just join us using spatial video on their Apple headset. Yeah.
So in the comments, you've got 365 days to anyone watching this, you've got 365 days to get yourself prepared for next year when we do it in 3D. That's a promise, right? That's the accountant promise.
We'll see.
So it's good to be optimistic, right?
Oh yes. Speaking of optimism,
go for it.
I've been crunching the numbers, as you would expect from a podcast with accountants on it. And I think we ought to take a moment and just celebrate that we're about to breach the 25,000 watches and listens mark. So in 48 weeks, because this is episode 48, we have had nearly 25,000 different people watching and listening to the podcast, which I think is just phenomenal. And we need to thank everyone that's in the comments, etc. The people that come in every week. Bit of a round of applause there. So yeah, it's just incredible. Like, I don't think you and I ever thought in the first year we'd ever get anywhere close to those kind of numbers. So thank you to absolutely everyone that tunes in, whether it's live, whether it's retrospectively, whether it's on podcast, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you're doing it. Thank you very, very much. It's 25,000 in a year. That's what we're going to do next year.
I know. I mean, the thing is as well, again, the thank you to everyone is that's the reason why we're able to do today and tomorrow. Like, we wouldn't be having a podcast booth if it wasn't for you guys listening. If no one listened to it, then yeah, no one would take us seriously, right? So yeah, again, thank you so much. We hit our target of speaking at every single event in this calendar, which was great to see, plus more, you know, going on tour and all sorts. And never in our wildest dreams would we ever think 25,000 the first year was possible. And never in our wildest dreams would we think that actually having a booth at one of these events dedicated to us podcasting was possible. So yeah, no, really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you for listening, sharing, passing the pod. You know, everyone's done their bit. So yeah, it's a group effort, I think, and we all need to give ourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah, and tomorrow is going to be very much a celebration of that, of meeting everyone that comes in, interviewing them, putting faces to. I won't use the name fans, because you know I don't think we're that famous, but putting a face to all of those people that support us by watching and listening. You know, even if you don't go on the podcast, let's get your photos and stuff so we can get involved in social media and stuff going forwards. So yeah,
we called it Ask the Accountant for various reasons, but one of the reasons is because that's exactly what you guys are. You're accountants, and everyone who listens, everyone who things, you know, you have the option to wear that badge as well, right? Like you pass it around and go from there. So yeah, absolutely love it. And to celebrate, why not play a game of Top Trumps as well? See who wins with the
Top Trumps. I mean, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I can't wait to out the people as well who can't add up. We won't name names yet, but let's just say we put a brief out there for your points and your scores, and some people questionable on their additional skills. Let's put it that way.
Yes, definitely.
And that's it. That is it. So let's quickly just go through the last of them. So morning all by LinkedIn News, and good morning and good night. Well done. That's quite an achievement. Thank you very much. Kirsty says thank you very much. Merlin says congratulations. Thomas says congratulations. Hopefully we get to see Tom there at Context tomorrow, although I don't think he is actually. And a great achievement by Leah. So thank you everybody for all your comments and likes and pushes and everything else that goes with it. Really, really is appreciated. So yeah, I think just the last thing for us to say is if we do get a chance to, do come over and say hello to us at Countess North tomorrow. We're really excited for it. And as Johann's already said, if you have the chance, well, get yourself on the pod. Tell us about you, because you're the reason we've got to this 25k. So we wouldn't have been there without you. So we love you to
cheeky plug from me.
Go for it.
If anyone does come up and meet me or anything, you'll probably notice I'm going to have a little camera on my shirt. Basically, I've decided, after everyone keeps asking me, how do you do so many things? How do you do all this all in one go? Because of the amount of different, most people say hats I wear. Some people say plates I spin. I say T-shirts that I wear because I've got so many different T-shirts. I've decided to do a behind the scenes kind of vlog style video series. First video comes out on Friday. Basically, it's going to be a day in the life or a week in the life of me. It's going to be professionally edited and put together by producer Lizzie, which is great because I cannot do editing to save my life, as everyone keeps telling me. But basically, it's going to be a behind the scenes of day-to-day in my life. We're going to be looking at how I run the business, how I lead that. We're going to be looking at culture. We're going to be looking at acquisitions. We're going to be looking at podcasting and all the behind-the-scenes stuff. We're going to be looking at client engager. We're going to be looking at speaking events and all what goes on there. And yeah, there's just so much stuff that happens in my day-to-day life that I felt, actually, let's see if anyone wants to watch that. So that'll be available on my YouTube channel going forwards.
Loving it. Can't wait for that. I've seen some behind the scenes of it all, and it's looking like it's going to be a very interesting read and watch. And if it's anything like your very first day in the life of back, 3
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife still watches it on a regular basis. So
it's that one viewer I've got watching it again and again.
So yeah, you'll definitely get one view coming forward. So brilliant. All right, everybody. Well, again, don't be a stranger tomorrow. If we do see us, say hello. Come get yourself some swag. Come and get yourself on the podcast. And we haven't mentioned it, but I assume there's an after party. I know.
Oh, there will be.
I know
we'll be at the after party.
They've got an after party till 7 p.m. We'll keep an eye to the ground and figure out if there's anything else happening from any of the vendors or anything. Because last year was the pub quiz, wasn't it, from Iris, which was good fun. So yeah, keep an eye out for us. Keep an eye out on the socials, especially for that link for getting yourself booked in for the event itself. And we'll go from there. So again, everyone, thank you so much for your support, and we will see you all. Oh, and thanks to Employment Hero for sponsoring as well. And we will see you all in the next week. So cheers, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Outro time.